Foot to his left hand with 3. Foot to his right hand, goes behind the back to Finneran. It's good! They are getting every 50-50 ground ball. Niffin on the doorstep. Backhanded shot. Peter Lindley.
When we watched that semifinal game, when Darien was, it seemingly their unbeaten season was going to come to an end. 8 minutes left, down 11-8. They come back for that magical win. I remember talking to the Admiral after the game, Burgoyne, and he agreed that they were thinking a little bit during that game. Let me tell you something, they weren't thinking the other night. Jimmy, I was trying to get you on the phone. God only knows where you were the other night, trying to reach you. Like, Jimmy, this is unbelievable. And my response
I was at the
from you
St.
was,
Francis Parish Center fundraiser.
how was that?
It went well.
Did it?
Yes.
I loved your text. I'll get back to you in 5 minutes. I heard from you 3 hours later. What I wanted to tell you was they ain't thinking. They're just playing, boom, like that. I thought, and I've seen a lot of Darien games this year, I thought by far the best quarter of lacrosse they played all year was the first quarter against St. Anthony's. That's a distant second now. Their first quarter the other night against Greenwich was, you can't play a better 12-minute of sport, forget lacrosse, of sport than they played.
Well, they had 48 minutes again. Because in the semifinals, their season came down to really 3 minutes when they were down 2 goals. You know what I mean? Because that's where the drama really began in that semifinal, when you were like under 3 minutes, you don't have the ball, you're down 2 goals, and as a player, you're looking at that clock saying, oh my gosh, 2 minutes left in the season. But now you come into this game, you're like, hey, we got 48 minutes to work with you. Let's go out and have some fun, fast and loose. And that's exactly what they did.
Their offense came out smoking. Their defense was... remember Bobby Duvniak from Manhasset?
Yeah.
The Darien people remember because when Case was a senior, Duvniak came up and Manhasset came up to Connecticut. They played at Stanford High at Boyle Stadium. So it was the #1 defender in America versus the #1 attack player in Case in America. I'll tell you what, the more I watch this kid, Mark Ivanchik, the more he reminds me of Bobby Duvniak. Football player, tough, great center of gravity, quick feet, nasty. He's
Because
really
when
good.
you look at his body, okay, you're like, how quick can he be? He's got a nice big football trunk.
Yeah.
He's got calves.
Yeah.
You know, he's like an impressive looking kid. And then he starts scooting around and moving, and you're like, wow, that's a pretty big guy moving that quickly, closing out on guys trying to get that quick first step on him. And
Hufford's a lucky cat, man, playing goalie on this team.
The legend of Case started against Manhasset. I think he had 5 goals as a freshman against Manhasset.
He did. and then at Brian McMahon High School, the legend went to another level in his final game sophomore year when he scored 9 against New Fairfield in the state final. And then all of a sudden it was, hi, Case, this is
John
Donowski from Duke. Which, Coach, I'll be there. You know, and he's had just a wonderful...
2 for 2.
Absolutely.
2 rings, 2
I
years.
saw his sister Mariah get a big goal the other night for Darien against
She's
Wilton.
a great little player, too, from Georgetown.
Just a junior.
Right.
Wears number 7. She doesn't wear number 4.
I know. I spoke to her about that.
I know.
I was like, yo, what's up, number 4? And she goes, that was my brother. And I said, you know what? You're right. Good job by you.
McCarthy, terrific defender. Mays, terrific
Listen,
defender.
it's now...
Gifford, terrific defender. You know who didn't play in that game the other night? Traver.
Really? Traver?
I always get that wrong. Did
Yeah.
not
When I wrote it
play.
on my chart, I wrote it T-R-A-Y.
Yeah.
And because he took that pull in the throat before the semis.
But it wasn't that. He did something. He played like in the second half of that Buchanan game.
Right.
With some injury where it's like, and they found out after the game. And I forget the exact injury, but man, and he made the huge play with that steal.
Oh, it was everything. Down 2, they don't have the ball. You need the ball. When you're down 2 goals with 2 and change left, you need the ball. And Mike, it's now, okay, the mission is in full motion now. Because after the season last year, where they only won 12 games, they didn't get any hardware, nothing ended in a pile, yada, 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 okay? The season had 3 prongs to it. Number 1, we're going to put together the same decorated schedule we've always played. The St. Anthony's, the Niskis, everything. Okay, they won all those games. Okay, number 2, we're going to reclaim the FCAC. Now they've done that. The 3rd is out there.
They might. We'll break it down. I'm going to do my whole prognostications. I mean, classic. Let's face it.
The state championship, or should we call it the Buzzio Bowl?
Yeah, they could have played. Let's put it this way: this Class M state. The FCAC was Friday night. Saturday afternoon, they should have played the Class M title. No. Because other than death and taxes, there ain't nothing more assured than New Canaan and Darien playing in the M final. And we'll break that down in just a second. So Wilton had the FCAC record shared with Darien for most FCAC titles. They both came into this game with 12. You know what? Maybe now they tied Wilton at 13. I think that's what it is. They had played Greenwich in the regular season. It was a 4-3 game at the half, and then the Blue Wave just ambushed them in the second half, 10-4.
10-4.
Yeah, they beat them easily, and well, Lindley came out on fire. This guy right now, I don't know how you defend this cat, because we have looked. I said to my son Brian the other day, that goal he scored against New Canaan, we sat in there with the guys. We slowed that video down 4 times. We still cannot see how he shot the ball. This cat, you can't defend him, because I don't think he knows where he's going to go with the ball at times.
I'm going on the fence with Peter Lindley this week.
Really?
On MSGVarsity.com. The interview is done. We spoke for about 5 minutes, and we spoke about this incredible creativity that he plays with. You know what I mean? Like you almost get the feeling that he works on these backhanded, reverse angle, but it just sort of comes in the flow. And Mike, let's face it, we have different players that we feel are best at different things in the tri-state area. There's nobody in the tri-state who's better than Peter Lindley in a catch-and-shoot situation, battling through 2 defenders, right on top of the crease. I mean, this is a crease attackman's crease attackman. You know what I mean? With the creativity he has and all the different angles that he scores at, because he just keeps doing it. Every time you go watch them, he breaks another beauty out of his bag of tricks.
I don't think he has bones in his body. I think he just has ligaments. Because he can do all this stuff. It's like, what is he doing?
You're right.
Like, you could put that guy in a cage, and he could figure out a way to get out. He'd make his body all small and then just explode out of the cage.
And when you go play college lacrosse, and Lindley will go to UMass, all these kids in college lacrosse come in with credentials. I scored 60 goals, I scored 30, I did this, I did that. Yeah. So, your teammates in college really don't know what you're about until you start going live. They're going to learn pretty quickly. This dude Lindley from Connecticut is got some shake, rattle, and roll in his game.
Because he doesn't look the part either. I mean, there were times the other night where his shorts were falling off on the field. He's running after a ball, pulling his shorts up, and he doesn't fit the role. He just gets it done.
Mike, if you watch him play, he just kind of waits for his moment. He's kind of standing. He's watching the flow of the play. He's not doing a lot of buzz cutting, moving around. Right. But all of a sudden, when he works off of teammates, he works off ball. He makes that little slip cut, boom, 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 and here he comes. You know what I mean? It's just he's a fascinating player. There's no doubt about it.
You know who was great again the other night? My man Pugliese.
Face off.
To me, he's the MVP. He's the MVP of this team.
It's unbelievable how now across the tri-state we see it. These face-off guys are dictating terms in these games and how these games are going. It's unbelievable. I mean, listen, we saw Brendan Fowler do it for Duke at the national championship 2 years in a row. It's like it's now the same thing in high school, but it's becoming more and more impressive how it's such an asset to these teams.
There is, and before we get to the highlight, I just have to throw that. The more I watch this cat Colin Minikis, number 3 play, we talked about Lindley as far as creativity, the best in the tri-state.
Smooth.
I'm going to say this about Minikis. When it comes to attackmen, there is no more guy that when the other team gets the ball and tries to rush up the field, that I would worry about more than this kid. Because he is relentless. He doesn't stop. He'll come from backside. He'll come from weak side. He'll come from virtually out of nowhere and steal the ball. This guy Minikis and he's a sophomore. He's going to be around forever.
So special. Oh. I mean, he's a glider. He's a thruster. You know what I mean? And just what the thing about Minikis is, and we see a lot of young guys on the lacrosse field. Okay, we see a lot of young guys on Long Island, freshmen and sophomores. We see them in New Jersey. Okay, but usually the common denominator is the consistency factor. A lot of times those sophomores, you see them one day they look great, the next day they get in a little more competitive situation. Maybe not there. Minikis, every time I see him, he's good. Every time.
I mean, if you're an FCI coach, now you got to deal with Minikis for 2 more years. You got to deal with number 4, Jack Niffen. And you know this. If you put on the number 4 and you play in the Darien boys lacrosse team, you better bring it. And Jack does all the time.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to these highlights. First quarter, Darien already up 1-0. Watch the ball movement, and here's the Bucknell bullet.
Oh, speedy.
Johnny Reed.
Reedy. I mean, that's moving. That's moving the ball, baby.
And here they are again. Look at Lindley. Look at those shorts almost down around his knees. Here he comes. Just makes a little move. It's just, the shot comes from nowhere.
It's what we call reckless control.
Yeah, I like that. Controlled chaos. Harry Gillespie has had a very, it's funny, the later this season's going on, the better number 5 has gotten. Second quarter, the Greenwich are trying to hang around at 6-1. Great ball movement. Luke Finneran turns and dumps it in. He's had a wonderful year for the Cardinals. It's 6-4. They have some momentum. Not for long. Guess who?
Look at this lefty rip. And there's, him stepping out a little bit in this game. Towards the perimeter, showing you a little different element to his game.
Kyle Foote, flat out amazing to Luke. And that's right at the buzzer. So Greenwich trails 7-3 at the half. A little momentum. Not for long. Guess who?
Look at him. We're in that number 4. And camped out up top now is Lindley.
It's now 8-3.
Got a little flair too, doesn't he?
So Niffen says, you know what? I did it once. Now let me do it again. Little backhand. I felt bad for Tommy Rogan. He's a wonderful goalie. No one was going to stop Peter Lindley and Darien on this night. Lindley says, you know what, Reed? You take it. And he does. And Darien goes on to win their first FCIAC title since 2011. 11-6. So it was, you could see they looked like they were having fun, right?
Oh, I mean, it's a great one for the fans to watch, and it's funny how you say first title since 2011.
Which isn't a long time, except if you're Darien.
In Blue Wave years, that's like dog years, right?
Right, because New Canaan had, and for
Every
Darien,
year's worth 7.
And for Darien, what makes it even worse is the fact that you didn't win one in 2 years, and New Canaan won it the last 2 years. So that just drives people at Darien nuts. You want to hear from your boy?
Sure.
All right.
We just, every day, practice, game, we just bring our best effort. We're just trying to do what we can to win both titles, and now we're on to states, and we got to perform there too.
We're still trying to figure out, Peter. I mean, where do you come up with some of these releases?
I just practice my shot a lot. When I have the chance to when I get the ball, I just shoot it well and
puts
trying
in
to score
personal
for
work.
this team.
Peter, it's a special day for Darien Lacrosse and also the Lindley family. Your mom coaching the girls team to their 13th title, you playing a starring role in the boys' 13th title. What is it like to be a member of the Lindley family and the Darien Lacrosse family?
Well, so it's good to be a part of the Lindley family. My mom won another title today. They won for the 3rd time in a row, and being part of this team, it's great. It's a great family. We're just having fun and showing that we're a powerhouse still.
Resnick, I say it all the time, and I'm going to continue. He does a great job in these post-game interviews. 1, he makes the kids feel comfortable, and 2, he asks very, very good questions like, how do you make those shots? How do you take those shots?
Yeah.
Resnick gets it, man. Good dude.
Because that's
Pride of New Rochelle.
That's what's Huguenot. He was on the call for many Ray Rice's runs in high school.
Exactly. We used to use his calls on the old high school weekly show.
It was a lot of fun. But you're right. I mean, because that's what you want to talk to Lindley about, not just the proverbial, what was the difference today? You know what I mean? About that sort of creative, reckless, wild style of his, only reserved for number 6, Peter Lindley.
So now both teams move on, and it's different. Like in Connecticut, you play your league championships, and then you move on to state play. On Long Island, if you lose your county final, you're done.
New Jersey and Connecticut a little forgiving.
Yeah,
you can lose and still move on.
What's unforgiving, and you saw the wonderful assist number 3 Kyle Foote had, ruptured his Achilles.
Yeah, he had a
late in the game, and he is a joy to watch play. So much fun. His career in high school is now over. And
he had a great career, though. I mean, the memories this year. Didn't he have the goal that beat Richfield in the 4 overtimes?
No, that was.
Did I screw that up? But
yeah, but Foote had the overtime game. He had one of the big goals the other day.
Right. I mean, his DNA is all over this team. It just scoring and.
I talked to Scott. We were texting back and forth today. He goes, "Listen, the team's just going to have to rise up and do it." And they've got guys. I mean, believe me, they've got a lot of guys and they have firepower. But it's going to be tough because that side of the bracket, on the L side, is very difficult. Now the playoffs start on Wednesday. This is who I think in the L you're going to see still standing. My predictions on Saturday. I think Staples will take on Simsbury in one quarterfinal. Look at Greenwich, who they would draw if Prep can get by
10 seed?
Newtown. Well, and we're going to come back on camera in a second. I'm just going to level the state. I think McMahon, based on who they play in league, will get by Amity an SEC school to take on New Milford. And that's a flat-out joke. The Green Wave, that they're a 4 seed. It's a joke that Simsbury is a 1 seed. Reachfield and Ward. So for Prep, for Greenwich.
Why don't they look at this?
Jimmy,
teams
it's
they
a
play.
joke. So Greenwich opens with Fairfield Ludlow, a team out of the FCA, okay? Greenwich should be a 2 seed in this tournament. The problem that I have more so than anything is Simsbury a 1, Fairfield Prep a 10. I mean, if I'm Coach McNulty at Staples High School, I am out there doing backflips in Westport today because I'm saying we get Simsbury in the quarterfinals. I'm going to tell you this right now. Staples is going to the championship game for the 2nd consecutive year in Class L. They're going because the way they see this tournament. And now, look, I watched Staples. Katie, Bryan, and I went up to watch Staples in the quarterfinal game against New Canaan. No matter where they were seated, they were going to be a factor. Staples High School, they lost in the championship last year to Prep. This 9 seed, they might win this whole thing this year.
Really?
They might. I am so... Will Johnson can score. They've got terrific defense, an unbelievable goaltender in the C-Man, Big Cole. They've got great...
It would be redemption for them because they sort of have lived in the shadow of the Big Four in the FCAC this year.
You're right.
We've spoken a lot about Greenwich and Darien and Ridgefield.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And New Canaan, of course. And, we haven't done a lot of Staples, but you've been saying now for a couple weeks that Staples has this propensity, this history of rising up.
Well, he's one of the best coaches, not
McCullough.
just in Connecticut, but in the tri-state, no doubt. And what you see, his teams always get better, and they play great teams.
Athletes.
Jim, but here's the problem, okay? 20 teams qualified for the postseason in Class L. 20. And you're telling me Fairfield Prep is in the middle? Come on. Let's see the teams based on who
Who's the
they
defending
play.
champ?
Fairfield Prep. But look at their 5 losses this year, okay? 1 to St. Anthony's, Long Island. Great team.
Right.
1 to Chaminade, Long Island, Catholic League champs. Both of those losses to St. Anthony's in overtime, to Chaminade by a goal. They lost to Del Barton, who may just be the best team in New Jersey when it's done. They got crushed by New Canaan when Buzzio's guys beat them 12-4, and they lost an out-of-state game to Duxbury, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah,
Let's encourage competition.
Right.
I'm not saying Simsbury shouldn't be in, but they shouldn't be a 1. And New Milford, come on. They're a 4 seed. That's why McNulty's doing backflips. The 1 is Simsbury, the 4 is New Milford.
Take it.
Ugh, Class S. It's over. I'm only picking the winner. Okay? And here's why. It's very simple. Weston is still in. Grant Lamone, the Loyola-bound goalie, he's going to have to do magical things if the Trojans are going to get back to defend it. I don't think they can. The reason I say the 8th seed is going to win, based on quality of schedule. You're coming out of the FCAC. You are a quarterfinal team, which, if I'm not mistaken, led Ridgefield going into the 4th quarter in the quarterfinals. The only team that I could potentially see messing that up, and they could only meet in the championship game, is the 2 seed Somers. That's it.
That's it.
Somers. In Connecticut, they call it Somers. In New York, they call it Somers.
Right.
Okay, Class M, stop it.
Oh boy.
Okay, I mean, I'm not picking the championship winner until next week. I'm put a face on it. But the defending champ Wilton, they didn't even make it.
Sure.
Okay, so the thing that I'm glad that the state did, and just thankfully, all right, because you never know with New Canaan, and again, all those records were based on regular season. We did not compute the postseason stuff. The worst thing that could have happened was New Canaan getting a 4 seed and having to play Darien in the semifinals. So at least the state, they should have gotten the 2, but at least they gave them 3, so they can only meet in the state finals. Now, when we saw Buzzio after they lost that heartbreaker to Darien, I said, this was Tuesday night. I said to him, you giving him tomorrow off? He goes, no, Mike, absolutely not. We will have the toughest practice that we have had all year. He's waiting. Now, I will say this.
Buzzio Bowl.
When you look at the brackets, they will, I'm telling you right now, in the first round, the quarterfinals, and the semifinals, both Darien and New Canaan will play running time in those games.
Until they get to the finals.
Until they get to the finals. Which means both Braemeier and Buzzio, and they will figure out a way to make these practices off the charts, because the worst moments they're going to have leading up to June 14th at Brian McMahon will be the games.
Yeah.
They're going to get more out of practice than they're going to get more out. And these guys now, Buzzio and Braemeier, if they hear this, they're going to be like, stop listening to this fool. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then they'll get with their assistant coach and they'll be like, Mr. Lax knows everything he's saying right
come
now.
on. Well, listen, it's like, for them it's like Thanksgiving time, and they're preparing to play in a bowl, the national championship bowl, which will be not until after New Year's.
Right.
They have to just get through the little time period.
Right.
They'll work things out in those games. Like, you're right. I mean, maybe somewhere along the line they'll be in a 3-3 situation, and they get a little, their feet in the fire a little bit, and they'll have to execute.
No, they won't.
But listen.
I'm going to give you an example.
You know what we love in sports, Mike? We love the collision course.
Yeah.
Okay. We see it all in all regions.
Yeah.
During the season, we say, hey, the collision course is coming. Del Barton, Bergen Catholic, the collision course is coming. Massapequa. It's like the Smith County, the collision course is coming now. And this is a collision course now between New Canaan and Darien. No truth to the rumor that Lou Marinelli will be on the coaching staff for New Canaan for this lacrosse game.
He used to coach lacrosse, and
Did he?
Howard Benedict fired him.
What?
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's Benedict.
He was on the staff.
Yeah, he used to coach JV lacrosse.
Oh my gosh.
Benedict got rid of him.
No surprise there.
No.
It's going to be fun, though. That's going to be fun. But we got a lot of time before that. What do we got? About 13 days, 12 days to wait for that? Oh, boy.
If you're Buzzio and Braemeier, you just have to hope that nobody gets hurt in the next 3 weeks. So there you go. It's gonna be fun. There's gonna be a lot of lacrosse. Jim, look, how about this? Did you know this? You're not on Twitter yet.
Did you know?
But I am live chatting tomorrow night, so I haven't been able to answer questions in person, really.
I didn't think you could type that fast.
Well, I have this guy, what's his name? Mike what?
Monty.